Flammer vs Sussy Love. Reina de Reinas title on the line. The 4th of April 2026. Lucha Libre AAA delivered a match that will be dissected, debated, and ripped apart by fans 4 months, and it all starts with one question: how in the hell did the champion allow herself to be put in that position? If you watched this show and walked away satisfied, you missed the point. If you're still cheering politely, you weren't paying attention. This wasn't just a title defense, it was a statement, and a meltdown, and a masterclass in wrestling psychology that raised more questions about AAA's booking than answers. Before we break down every jaw-dropping spot, every referee decision that made you want to throw your TV through a wall, and the finish that will haunt talkback boards for weeks, I want you to do something right now. Type in the comments, who did you think was robbed, and which moment made you shout at your screen I'll be watching. And later in this video I'll ask 2 more questions that you can't ignore. Don't be silent. The stakes and the scent of chaos. This was never going to be a routine title defense. Flammer, relentless and razor-focused, carries a chip on her shoulder the size of Mexico City. Every match she has is about proving she belongs at the absolute top. Sussy Love, though? Sussy is a puzzle wrapped in glitter, charisma, ruthlessness, and a ring IQ that lets her flip a crowd with a single sidelong glance. Reina de Reinas is prestige, legacy, and it means something different to every woman who holds it. Put these 2 in the same ring and the atmosphere changes, the air gets heavier, the music sounds like a warning. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the crowd deciding which injustice they will not forgive. Question for you now: did you expect Flammer or Sussy Love to carry the match's momentum early? Drop your pick in the comments. Opening salvo. The first blood is not literal, but it hurts. From the bell, AAA made a deliberate choice. They let this match breathe. No pointless pre-match chaos, no interference before bell time, just 2 women and the weight of a title. Right away, Flammer attacked the ribs, working beneath Sussy's guard with targeted strikes, low kicks that are designed not to stun but to insidiously break. This is classic Flammer, methodical, surgical, and designed to wear down a flashy opponent who relies on big counters. Sussy responded with her charm as cold weapon routine, taunts, head games, and the kind of snap that says you're not the first to try this. She baits Flammer into overcommitting, then slides out like smoke, only to turn the momentum with a ladder of lightning-fast counters. But none of those flashes were cheap. Every counter told a story. Sussy's ring psychology tonight was about confidence bordering on arrogance, and it worked in moments. It also created moments where she let Flammer back in, a sin in high-stakes wrestling. Now I want you to think, who did better at running the ring psychology, Flammer's slow grind or Sussy's theatrical counters? Put that down in the chat and explain why. Heat, risk, and an absurd spot that divided the crowd. Midway through the first big exchange, AAA's creative team made a gambit, a spot that looked, at first glance, like a reckless, crowd-pleasing swerve, a suicide dive from the apron to the floor that ended with a collision against the barricade so violent the cameras lingered on the aftermath. Some viewers loved it, others said it was unnecessary. But here's the key: the commentators sold it like an inflection point. They framed it as the spine of the match. If you ask me, high-risk spots like that are only worth it if they alter the trajectory of the match, and this one absolutely did. The aftermath of that dive forced both competitors to shift strategies. Flammer, with her ribs punished, had to mask pain while maintaining aggression. Sussy, who had paid for boldness with bruises, leaned into the psychology of sympathy, getting the crowd on her side, then betraying them. That betrayal is an art. Wrestling fans, the most unforgiving critics in sports entertainment, eat betrayal alive. If you cheered when Sussy used the crowd's sympathy against Flammer, admit it in comments. Turning points, the near falls that felt like life or death. Now we get to the part of the match where Lucha Libre AAA made everyone feel like the next pinfall could be the last breath of a legacy. Sequence after sequence of near falls built tension to a point where the ring felt too small for the drama. 2 things stood out: the way the referee's count felt subjective and the creativity of Flammer's comeback spots. Flammer's series of bridging pin attempts were brilliant. They were textbook leverage, desperation, and charm. Each near fall was scored like a punishment for the crowd. No, not yet. And every time Sussy escaped, you could feel the audience deflate and re-inflate. This is where the match's pacing was perfect. AAA allowed the drama to stretch. Lengthy, tense sequences where every kick out is a small revolution. That's where championship wrestling earns its keep. But let's be honest, the referee's calls during this stretch rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Too slow to intervene on chokes, too slow to reprimand hair pulling that clearly broke the rules. Referees in modern pro wrestling are part of the choreography, and tonight the referee's restraint sometimes felt like an invisible hand pushing the match toward a contrived finish. Was that the intent or an oversight, you tell me? Did the officiating feel neutral or biased? Vote now in the comments. The high spot that became a controversy. If you've read the message boards, you already know which spot split the community. The springboard corkscrew moonsault off the top rope, a breathtaking maneuver meant to deliver the decisive blow that resulted in what looked like a botched landing. Replays showed an awkward angle, and Sussy's face told the story. This was supposed to be the match ender. When it didn't stick, you could feel the heartbreak from Flammer, the simmering panic from Sussy, and the crowd that had leaned all the way forward now recoiling. This is wrestling's cruel irony. The most spectacular moves carry the highest stakes. The botch opened the match up again, and with star athletes like these, botches become storytelling devices. They force improvisation, and improvisation reveals character. Sussy's recovery was clinical. Flammer's reaction was visceral. If you were yelling at the TV thinking the spot ruined the finish, you're not alone. But also, did the botch make the comeback more credible? Say yes or no below and explain. The finish, genius or crime? Here is where the divide becomes tribal. The final sequence is a study in pacing and moral choice. The build had massive emotional investment. The crowd was primed. Then AAA did something bold. They leaned into ambiguity. Sussy Love executed a sequence of moves that looked like a clean finish, a signature maneuver followed by a cover that drew the 3 count. Except the referee's positioning was off, and on replay there's an angle that suggests Sussy might have been using the ropes for extra leverage. The live announcers called it a clean victory, but watch the footage frame by frame. There's an eyebrow-raising moment where contact and leverage are hard to reconcile. This is the kind of ending that goes viral for all the wrong reasons. Fans who favor clean finishes feel cheated. Fans who prefer controversial finishes for storyline fuel feel vindicated. And the smartest finish, in my opinion, is the one that fractures the audience because it gives breath to the storyline. Did the finish make Sussy Love a more compelling champion because of the moral ambiguity, or did it cheapen the belt by letting her win with a dubious count? You know what to do. Scream your verdict in the comments. Why this match matters to AAA's future. Now, beyond the heat of the night and the online arguments, think longer term. This finish gives AAA options. Maybe Sussy's reign begins with a cloud of doubt that fuels rematches, betrayals, and a slow-burn storyline that culminates at a major show. That's the textbook way to turn a polarizing finish into a narrative engine. Or, this could be the beginning of a pattern where title matches end with controversy, which eventually drains a title's prestige if overused. Flammer, for her part, was carved into a sympathetic figure. She's the wrestler who can lose without being diminished. Vince Russo-era booking taught us never to give a wrestler a controversial loss unless you have plans for redemption that feel earned. So, is AAA planning to run a slow-burn redemption arc, or will they move on and let fans stew? The answer will reveal a lot about how AAA values title prestige, and if you care about that, you should be vocal. Tell me, do you want Flammer to get a rematch at the next big card, or should AAA build a multi-step feud? Cast your vote in the comments. Character work, beyond the moves. Matches decide champions, but character work decides fan allegiance. Flammer's intensity and humility in defeat were storytelling gold. Her limping exit, her glare into the camera, the way she refused to shake hands, all of that said far more than a promo ever could. Sussy's post-match celebration was equal parts triumph and defiance. She was animated, affectionless toward the fans who called her a cheat, and unapologetic a masterclass heel victory lap. Wrestling purists will tell you a title change should feel inevitable, and a good defense should elevate the champion. Sussy, if she hangs onto that title, must now defend not just the belt but the legitimacy of her victories. Flammer must be booked like a warrior wronged, and if AAA treats her like a stepping stone, fans will revolt. Booking is a fragile contract between promotion and audience. Right now, the audience's trust is stretched, not broken, but tested. Small question for you: whose post-match behavior convinced you more, Flammer's stoic rage or Sussy's arrogant celebration? Drop your one-line take below. Technical breakdown move by move. Let's do a concise technical run-through of the key sequences. No fluff, just cold analysis. Opening offense, Flammer focused the attack on the midsection with targeted low kicks and rib strikes. Purpose: remove Sussy's air and limit her springy counters. Sussy's counters used misdirection and ring savvy, baited Flammer into corner overcommitments, then used the ring ropes to create separation and set up high-impact sequences. Suicide dive, high risk, crowd shaking. Cost: left both competitors vulnerable for an exchange of risky spots. Near falls, Flammer's bridging and Sussy's cocky one-footed kicks both used to maximize drama. The referee's timing prolonged sequences, elevating the perceived danger. Botched moonsault, critical point. Altered finish and forced improvisation. Result, raw emotion and a changed momentum. Final pin, ambiguous leverage on the ropes. The definitive frame-by-frame analysis suggests interference with the ropes, but not conclusive. It's a moral cliffhanger. This technical breakdown shows a match that was less about pure athletic showcase and more about narrative architecture. AAA built a house of cards and knocked at least one piece loose on purpose. What this means for wrestlers' trajectories. Where does this leave the careers of both women? Flammer emerges with empathy. She's now the wrong hero. If booked correctly, she can be a long-term babyface champion in waiting. She gains credibility through bravery and near wins. You want her on every marquee. Sussy Love, the controversial champion, is often the most compelling champion. It gives her heat, and heat sells tickets. But there's a trap. If she continues to win under dubious circumstances, fans will eventually reject that as a storytelling crutch unless the wins build to something meaningful. A narrative tip for AAA: long-term booking that acknowledges the controversy. Immediate rematch with strict officiating, then a match with stipulations will turn tonight's anger into combustible interest. Ignore the backlash, and you lose the crowd's trust. Fan reaction, rage, praise, and everything in between. The social feeds ignited. Clips of the botched finish trending, pundits split, and hardcore fans trading theories like stock tips. That's the sign of a match that mattered. This isn't always a badge of honor. Sometimes viral controversy hurts a product, but in the short term, it got people talking, sharing, and tuning in. Your job as a wrestling fan is to decide whether that chatter builds toward a satisfying arc or spirals into cheap controversy. Poll question: did tonight's match make you more likely to tune into AAA next show? Yes, no, undecided. Explain why. How AAA can fix this. Book smart. If AAA wants to turn this into a long-term asset, they should immediately schedule a rematch with stricter officiating or a stipulation that removes rope leverage. Something definitive. Build micro-stories. Sussy becomes an unrepentant heel. Flammer's path should be a slow burn to redemption. Bring in backstage segments, personal stakes, and allies /clashes that raise the stakes. Avoid repeating controversial finishes across multiple title matches in a row. One morally grey finish can spark interest, multiple can erode title prestige. If they follow these steps, the Reina's title can become the hottest prize in women's lacquer. If not, the belt risks being a headline-grabbing prop that fans start to tune out. Final thoughts: this match will be debated for a long time. Flammer vs. Sussy Love on the 4th of April 2026 delivered raw emotion, unforgettable spots, and an ending that will be the subject of talk shows and Twitter threads for weeks. It was mechanically impressive, narratively divisive, and expertly provocative. I walked away wanting more clarity, more retribution, more booking that doesn't treat the audience like an annoyance. That's not a condemnation of the athletes, they put everything on the line. It's a call to AAA to answer creatively. Before you go, answer these 3 questions in the comments, and I mean full answers, not just emojis. 1. Who was most wronged in this match, Flammer or the Reina's title itself? Explain in 1 paragraph. 2. Should AAA book an immediate rematch with a no-rope leverage rule, or should they take the long game route and build a slow-burning feud? Which is better and why? 3. What single finish would have satisfied you as a clean, undisputed end to this match? Describe it in 1 sentence. If you answered all 3, I'll pick the best comment in the next video and read it out loud. So be clear, be bold, and don't hold back. If you want to keep this debate alive, share this video with your wrestling crew, tag a friend who thinks Suss is clean, and start a war in the comments. I'll be watching, and I want to know which part of the match made you lose your mind. That's the breakdown. Flammer bled pride. Sussy earned heat. AAA earned attention. Now they need to earn your trust. Which side are you on? End of script. Wrestling Zone 1.